Scene 125.
I'm Damon Martin. I grew up in Washington State, in the countryside, across the bay from Seattle. I first moved to Los Angeles in 1983. It took me a while to find my way downtown, but when I did, I was thrilled to see what was going on down here. There were a lot of underground clubs. There was an underground music scene going on. I thought it was very avant-garde. I thought it was very dangerous. I thought it was exciting. These were super cool people that were living downtown. I was inspired. I was inspired to create. It was just a very creative time. The spaces that were here for rent were incredibly affordable. People were living in abandoned buildings, and they had huge spaces that were just extraordinary. The opportunity to work in a space like that, to paint or to sculpt or to play music in a space like that, it's incredibly enviable because you could beat it up. You could beat up the floor, you could beat up the walls, you could paint, you could drop paint, you could make a mess. One of my first experiences was coming down to Al's Bar. Being able to see this punk rock atmosphere. Danger was lurking, it was in the air, but it didn't remind me of the West Side. It didn't remind me of Hollywood. It felt very art-centric, whether you were painting or making music, doing some kind of experimental theater, whatever it was. It seemed to be like the cutting edge was happening down in this area. During that time, I was living in different neighborhoods, exploring different parts of the city. When it comes to Los Angeles, if you're not happy, if you don't like Los Angeles, just simply move to a different neighborhood because you'll find a completely different vibe. So where I grew up, there was kind of one vibe, maybe two vibes if you went into town and went to A&W or Dairy Queen or something. So for me, this city was magical. The city had a lot to offer. At that time, I was painting indoors, I was painting on canvas. I didn't know any artists that were painting murals at the time. There were some historical murals, but I don't recall seeing any contemporary murals that were being painted. My first experience with painting a mural in the Arts District was 2011, during this moratorium that we had on murals in Los Angeles. I actually got approval from the county, and because it's the Arts District, I was actually able to paint without getting arrested and without the police showing up. I did get asked a couple of times by police driving by as to, did I have permission? I said yes, and that was the end of the story. I ended up painting here on a county wall, here on 3rd Street. I painted life-size elephants, and the idea was to offer people an opportunity to engage with that species and the plight of elephants and the kind of endangerment that they face today. From there, I went on and I painted a Korean mythology mural. I was asked by one of the owners of Zip Sushi to paint on his corner. Historically, his corner has been in the past a pretty famous wheat paste corner. People were coming in from all over the city, sometimes all over the country, and even all over the world to paste there. I understand why he wants it painted, because he wants to freshen things up, but I had a lot of respect for that corner. And I shared the corner with Tristan Eaton, and Tristan also painted something. We were doing our best to honor the corner, and since we both painted new murals on the corner as well. I have done a piece on Ai Wei Wei, incredible Chinese artist and human rights activist. So I painted that over the spot where the Korean mythology was. It's that kind of a corner that deserves a level of rotation, really one of the epicenters of the art scene in Los Angeles. The idea is to paint about things that you're passionate about, and especially when you're painting on the street. If you're not passionate about what you're painting on the street, you can get beat up. The sun will beat you up, the street will beat you up, but painting murals is extraordinary, and I am so thrilled to be out there on the street painting. My passion for the neighborhood is to see the number of murals double over the next year. Our mural ordinance was passed. We have language for it. We're able to support new murals coming into this neighborhood. The goal here is to attract as many artists as possible to the neighborhood to paint great murals. People will be able to get out of the car, look around anywhere in this neighborhood and understand that they're in the Arts District and understand the historical significance of this neighborhood. About a year and a half ago, Kent came to visit me as I was painting this Korean mural, and we took a little stroll across the street to get a little perspective, and his eyes drifted upwards, and he was gazing at the back of the American Hotel, and he said, "What's going on with that wall?" And I said, "Let me see." He said, "Great." So we ended up talking to the new owner of the American Hotel, and Mark was very cool and supportive for the concept of Kent doing a mural on the back of the hotel. Kent's going to be doing Ed Ruscha 2.0. Kent went and did a study and took new photographs of Ed, and he did a 3D model of the American, and he's really excited about the project. I really look at him as one of my mentors for painting murals. He's incredibly precise about what he does and how he approaches his projects. I'm a big fan. Hopscotch the Opera is all taking place in cars. There's 3 different routes, and they all intertwine throughout the city, ending in the Arts District here in the SCI-Arc parking lot. They built this building, which is in the round, 36 different television screens, and each chapter of the opera is on display on each of the monitors. The production includes singers, dancers, musicians. You're going to be getting in and out of limousines with the performers. You get out and you're now engaging with a performance on the street. It's a really great concept, really difficult to pull off, but they've managed. I was involved with some of the original creative meetings. My proposal was to have street art and murals relating to the opera being painted live during the performance. We have a dozen different murals. We're going to be painting those throughout the Arts District. There's a circle that is the logo for Hopscotch, and we're all painting with that circle in mind. So we're all kind of framed the same way. Some of these murals will stay up for a few months, some of them will stay up for a few years, so it depends on the wall and the artist. In the Arts District right now, as we're going through this process of gentrification, there's some cool things that are happening. There's new galleries that are moving into the neighborhood. And of course, trying to double the number of murals over the next year is going to be helpful. As neighborhoods gentrify, they tend to create conflicts from the people who have always lived there, to the new people who are coming in, to the developers. A lot of growing pains. I travel around quite a bit, painting murals and being involved with different art fairs. This gentrification is happening in arts districts all over the world. It's difficult to resist. Once the developers come in, once they have their eye on the prize, it's pretty hard to shake them off and to maintain the affordability that is so important for artists to thrive and to be successful. With a neighborhood like this, the idea is to do everything we can to keep arts in the arts districts. That means that you have to get active. You have to start working with the developers. You have to start pushing back on the developers. Do everything we can to keep artists here in the neighborhood painting, showing, creating, and celebrating this neighborhood for its history and for its future. Cut.